The movie opens in the southern islands of Japan. There lived a young man named Daniel who walked a quiet path under the guidance of a wise mentor, Mr. Miyagi. One evening, beneath lantern glow and ocean wind, Miyagi spoke of a story passed through generations. He told of an ancestor who, during a violent storm, was rescued by a family of Chinese martial artists. In gratitude, the Miyagi lineage shared their art, and the two traditions intertwined, not as rivals, but as kin. Two different paths, Miyagi said softly, yet the same roots. One tree.
Miyagi's connected.
Many years later, across the sea in modern Beijing, a master of Kung Fu named Mr. Han trained students with discipline forged from loss and patience carved from pain. His life was orderly, quiet, disciplined, but the tranquility shifts when his niece, Dr. Fong, arrives. Mr. Han's students try to hide Dr. Fong's son, Li, from her, as she doesn't want him to continue in fighting training. She tells Mr. Han that she and her son Li will leave China, looking for a new life in New York, far from the dojos, far from bruised knuckles and bitter memories. Li once had an older brother, full of fight and fire, who is now only a photograph in the family's home. Dr. Fong believes that distance from the world of martial arts may shield Li from the same fate. Mr. Han disagrees, not with anger, but with sorrow, for he knows that running from conflict does not end it. Yet the plane ticket is already bought. A new journey is about to begin. When Li and his mother first land in New York, everything feels unfamiliar. New streets, new faces, new rhythms. Wanting to get a feel for the neighborhood, Li wanders out on his own. He steps into a local pizza shop named Victory Pizza. Sure, the movie is all about victory, so grab your Victory subscription and hit subscribe. Now but a simple mistake, ordering a crust no one orders around here. The owner, a loud but misunderstood man named Victor, has a laugh at his expense. Only one person steps in to help, Victor's daughter, Mia. Warm, confident, and quick to read people, she offers him a slice anyway and points him toward the nearest corner store. It's a small kindness, but to Li, it means everything.
Welcome to New York, Li Fong.
Days pass. After school, Li finds Mia outside her shop, struggling with some supplies. He jumps in to help, and the two start walking the neighborhood together. She shows him the shortcuts, the hangouts, the quiet corners that only locals know. But the mood shifts when they pass a martial arts academy. Mia tenses. Inside, training is her ex, Connor, a fighter who carries trouble the way others carry breath. His teacher, O'Shea, reminds Mia of something her father would rather forget, a debt that still lingers in the shadows.
Adios.
Later, while Li and Mia are out again, her scooter breaks down. They take the subway instead, unaware that Connor and his crew are already nearby. The train rattles, doors close, and the atmosphere sharpens. Connor approaches not with apology, but with ownership. Li steps forward not because he wants to fight, but because Mia deserves someone who will. The first blow comes fast.
Heads up.
Li isn't ready. A bruised eye. A lesson learned. Back home, Mia apologizes. She admits the truth. She dated Connor because it was everything her father disapproved of. Really, Connor was a big mistake in her life. Victor tries to hide the bruise beneath jokes and makeup.
Like this.
But Li's mother sees through everything. She reminds him, gently but firmly, he didn't come here to fight. As the days settle in, Li tries to carve out a routine. His mother signs him up for extra tutoring, hoping school can become his anchor. His tutor, Alan, quiet, analytical, always lost behind thick glasses and numbers, helps Li wrestle with calculus problems that look more like puzzles than equations. But peace doesn't last long. During the day, Connor shows up again, the same stare and mocking smile. Li tries to stay calm, but old memories surface. Moments training with his brother Bo, the rhythm of footwork, the grounding of breath. He tries to stand his ground, not out of pride, but survival. Yet Connor is ahead of him. Every strike, every step, anticipated. Li hits the floor hard, bruised not just in body, but in spirit, until teachers rush in to pull Connor away. Connor doesn't shout. He just leans in with a grin. A challenge. The 5 Boroughs tournament. The one stage Connor owns every year. The message is clear. Meet me there. And no one will save your life. That night, Li walks through the neighborhood trying to shake the weight off his shoulders. He heads to Mia's broken scooter. Maybe fixing something broken will make him feel less broken himself. But trouble finds him first. 3 men, O'Shea's collectors, approach the pizzeria where Victor is closing up. They aren't here to talk. Baseball bats in hand. Debt doesn't forgive. Li steps in. No hesitation this time. The alley becomes a whirlwind. Fists, movement, instinct. Li isn't perfect, but he is fast, precise. His training shows in flashes, and the goons, surprised and stumbling, decide the night isn't worth the trouble. They scatter into the dark. Victor stands frozen for a moment, part shock, part gratitude. He brings Li inside the shop, the neon sign humming above them. He wipes the sweat from Li's forehead and lets out a long breath. He tells Li the truth. Once, he was a boxer. He walked away from the ring the moment Mia came into his life. But the past has a way of resurfacing. Victor looks at Li, not as a kid, but as someone who understands. He asks quietly, almost ashamed, "I need to get sharp again. Could you help me?" And for the first time since arriving in New York, Li doesn't feel alone. Li isn't sure what to do with Victor's request. Training someone feels different from defending someone, so he goes to the one person whose guidance he trusts, Mr. Han. Han listens quietly as he always does. No judgment, no rush. He simply nods and says, "Strength is not wrong. What matters is why you choose to use it." And with that, Li begins helping Victor reconnect with the fighter he used to be. But not everyone sees it that way. One afternoon, Mia walks in and finds them mid-training. Victor sweating, Li holding pads, the shop filled with the echo of fists and heavy breathing. To her, it doesn't look like discipline. It looks like danger, finding its way back into their lives. She lashes out, upset that her father is risking everything for a fight when the shop is already hanging by a thread. The debt, the collectors, the fear. She storms out, leaving the air heavy with silence. Training continues, though.
Always fluid.
You might actually.
And in the quiet moments between drills, Victor asks the question he's been avoiding. "Why did you stop fighting?" Li hesitates. Then the words break loose. A year ago, his brother Bo had won a tournament. Proud, strong, unstoppable. But the victory didn't sit well with the boy he defeated. That night, the boy returned. Not alone. Fists turned to rage. Rage turned to weapons. A knife flashed. Li froze. And Bo never got back up. Li has carried that night like a scar no one can see. He believes he failed his brother. He believes the guilt is his to bear. Victor doesn't speak. He just places a hand on Li's shoulder, not to fix him, but to let him know he's not alone. Life moves forward, even when the heart lags behind. Li continues studying with Alan, who drags him out to the San Gennaro Festival. Lights, music, crowds swirling with energy. Then Li sees her, Mia, laughing. Standing beside Connor, the laughter feels louder than it should. Li's heart beats slower than it should. He doesn't hear what they're saying. He doesn't ask. He just sees and assumes. The walls he had started to lower begin to rise again. Distance settles in, not spoken, but felt. The night of the fight arrives. The air inside the small boxing venue is thick. Sweat, noise, and the low hum of people waiting for violence to happen. Li and Mia stand beside Victor, each carrying their own worries for him. Before the match begins, Mia turns to Li. Her voice isn't sharp, it's hurt. She asks him why he's been distant. Li hesitates, then admits what he saw at the festival. Her laughing beside Connor, close, familiar, almost comfortable. Mia's expression softens. She explains that Connor was trying to pull her back into his orbit, but she refused, firmly, because her heart had already started to move in a different direction, toward Li. The moment hangs between them, quiet, fragile, hopeful. Their faces draw closer, just a breath away from something new. And then Victor bursts between them, all adrenaline and taped knuckles. No romance tonight. He pushes them toward the ring so they won't miss his moment. The bell rings. Victor fights with a steadiness no one expected. Not perfect, not polished, but focused. Footwork cleaner than before. Timing sharper. Pieces of Li's training appear in every dodge, every counter, every stance. For a moment, it seems like Victor might actually win, but O'Shea never intended for a fair fight. One of his men, Victor's opponent, throws a deliberate elbow, illegal, brutal. Victor drops, then a finishing blow, and suddenly the room stops breathing. Victor crumples to the canvas. Sirens replace applause. Lights blur into streaks. He is rushed to the hospital, the very one where Li's mother works. Mia, shaken and scared, asks Li to come into the hospital with her, to support Victor, to support her. But Li freezes. The hallway lights, the smell of antiseptic, the urgency of the nurses. It all feels too much like that night. The night he lost Bo. The night he couldn't move, couldn't save him. Li stands still, trapped inside his own memory. Mia's fear turns to pain. Her pain turns to anger. She walks inside alone, and Li is left outside, the weight of the past pressing heavier than ever. In the days that follow, Li withdraws from everything. School, training, Mia, even himself. His phone rings again and again, Mr. Han calling, but Li never answers. Silence becomes his refuge and his prison. But Mr. Han has seen this before, in others, in himself. He knows what guilt can do to a heart. So one evening, without warning, Mr. Han shows up in New York, not politely at the door, but already inside the apartment, moving with the calm precision of someone who has nothing left to fear. Li reacts on instinct, a sudden clash of hands and momentum, a brief storm of movement, until Dr. Fong steps in, startled and breathless. It's not an attack, it's a wake-up call.
Surprise.
Later, the three visit Victor in the hospital. Victor is awake but tired, spirit bruised more than his body. He talks about relocating the pizza shop, not surrendering, just escaping, starting fresh somewhere. The debts and threats can't find him. Li listens and understands just how much running costs a person. That's when Mr. Han speaks. Steady, grounded. You are going to fight in the 5 Boroughs tournament. Li doesn't respond at first. It sounds absurd, impossible, heavy, but Han meets his gaze, unwavering. I will train you. No negotiation, no uncertainty, a statement of truth. A new chapter begins, but not in New York. Mr. Han travels west into California. He arrives at the quiet home of a man who knows the weight of legacy better than anyone, Daniel LaRusso. The two men stand face to face, one shaped by Kung Fu, the other by Okinawan Karate. Mr. Han explains that he once lived under the same roof as Miyagi. Listen to his stories, his lessons, his regrets, his hopes. And he has come because Li needs more than strength. He needs balance. He needs grounding. He needs the method. Daniel listens, but there is hesitation in his eyes. Time has changed him, softened some edges, and hardened others. He does not say yes, but Mr. Han simply nods, because he knows Daniel is not done with this story. Not yet. And he knows where Daniel will be when the time comes. New York. Alan offers Li a place to train. Not a gym, not a dojo, but a rooftop garden high above the noise of the city. A hidden sanctuary, concrete and sky. Li steps onto the rooftop and begins again. Mr. Han joins him, calm, deliberate, relentless. Every stance corrected, every breath refined. Kung Fu rebuilt from the ground up, and one day, the door creaks. Daniel LaRusso steps into the light. He doesn't announce himself. He simply watches Li's form, nods once and says, "Let's even the ground a bit." Karate enters the training. Straight lines meeting circular motion, discipline weaving with fluidity. 2 styles, 1 fighter, but they know Connor will expect everything Li has shown before. They need something unexpected. Daniel studies Li's movements, especially the kick that once got Li slammed to the floor. A failure, a wound. That's your trap, Daniel says. Let him think he knows you. Let him think he has you. And when he commits, he sweeps low, sudden and precise, a strike from the ground. Li begins drilling the move, again and again and again. But while his body grows stronger, his heart remains bruised. Mia still won't speak to him. Days pass, silent, heavy, until Alan intervenes, the quiet friend who always sees more than he says. He brings Mia to the rooftop. Nighttime, city lights glowing like embers around them. Li has prepared it carefully. Soft lights, space. No words rehearsed, just honesty. Mia listens. The anger fades. The hurt loosens. And forgiveness finds its way in the space between them. At last, they are aligned again. Then, tournament day. The 5 Boroughs arena roars with energy. Crowds shouting, banners waving, fists slamming against mats. Li climbs through the brackets. Focused, precise. Connor does the same. Brutal, efficient, unchallenged. 2 trajectories, 1 collision waiting. But O'Shea has no intention of letting this fight happen on fair ground. His men move in, trying to corner Li between matches, trying to break him before he ever reaches the finals. They don't get far. Mr. Han steps in. Daniel steps in. 2 masters, 2 histories, 1 wall that no bully can break. Meanwhile, Mr. Han finds Li's mother in the stands, fear holding her in place. He is not fighting to hurt, Han tells her. He is fighting to live. The crowd roars. The brackets close. The mat clears. Li versus Connor. Everything comes down to this. A week passes. Tension builds. The air in the city feels heavier, like everyone knows something is coming. The final match isn't in a gym, or a school, or a crowded stadium. It's on a rooftop. The skyline stretches out around them. Steel towers, neon haze. The city watching in silence. Li steps forward. Connor is already waiting. No words, just history. Dr. Fong appears, drawn by something stronger than fear, the need to support her son. She joins Victor, Mia, and Alan on the sidelines, all of them standing together now. The match begins. Connor is faster at first, aggressive, sharp, ruthless. He lands strike after strike, taking the early lead. Li stumbles, but doesn't fall. A breath, then another. He remembers Mr. Han's patience, Daniel's discipline, Bo's courage. Li moves differently now. Calm, centered, present. Points begin to shift. One for Li, another, then another. Li pulls ahead, 7 points, but Connor is not finished. He surges, fury overwhelming technique, and nearly knocks Li down for good. Li sways. The rooftop blurs. Then he stands. The crowd doesn't breathe. Match point. Li prepares the same move that once cost him everything, the dragon kick. Connor recognizes it, commits to the counter he expects will end the fight. But this time, Li slips past it, a quiet perfect dodge, and from the ground, the sweep, precise, controlled, unstoppable. Connor hits the rooftop, the point lands, Li wins. The crowd erupts, but Connor isn't finished. He lunges at Li's back, a final act of desperation. Li turns, pins him to the ground, and drives his fist into the rooftop beside Connor's head. Not violence, control. Connor freezes. Humiliation turns into clarity. He bows, and the rooftop explodes with cheers. Mia rushes forward. The crowd lifts Li up, triumphant, weightless, finally free. Li's victory changes more than the scoreboard. Victor pays off O'Shea. The shop survives. Not only that, a second pizzeria opens. A fresh start. Li sends a pizza across the country to Daniel in California, along with a handwritten thank you note. Daniel shares the slice with his old rival and now closest friend, Johnny Lawrence. Johnny chews, thinks for a moment, and says, "Man, you know what we should do? Open a pizza joint. Call it Miyagi-Do." Daniel just sighs. Johnny grins. And you can shine now with a subscribe.